Hello and welcome to my desk. Well, I got a request about this journal right here and how I'm doing this urban sketching thing, you know. So I thought that I should do an upload about it, and I feel it's so difficult because I'm standing at the foot of the mountain, you know. I do so little about this, and there are so many awesome YouTubers out there who has streamed for such a long time and actually are going out on tours around the globe and do urban sketching where they're like standing in front of landscapes and cityscapes and buildings and whatnot. So I kind of feel that I'm not equipped to talk about urban sketching in general. So I guess I just want to say that I can talk about my little study here because it involves a study of an artist called Mads Dage, who back in the 80s, so it's like 40 years ago, did a lot of nice urban sketch paintings of Copenhagen, and he inspired me to select areas that I know very well from Copenhagen and do urban sketches about these buildings and these squares and city town halls and stuff like that. So it's kind of something I'm doing for me because I am only sketching buildings and areas where I have frequently passed them or been in that area for a long time. So yeah. I think the most beautiful sketch that people think is in my journal is this one, and it's mostly because of the color selection. There's something really pleasing about the pink and the Naples yellow together with the fresh green, so it looks really nice. So I thought that I should talk about this sketch and how it got made. First of all, I like Mads Dage for the way he's using his pen. Very rarely he uses pen and ink, but I like the expression of pen and ink, so my go-to pen is a carbon ink fountain pen with a very skinny thin line. I know that Mads Dage, he used his HB pencil, and the reason for going so much in detail with him is because there's so much to learn from him. So let me just talk about this one here and show you guys how I am urban sketching without leaving my house. Okay, I really hope that I can hold this. It's a handheld webcam. But what I do is that I go into Google Maps, and then when I click in on Google Maps, I know that this square is Frue Plads. Oh, you can see I searched it before, so it just appears in my search right here. I'm gonna make the screen a little bit smaller so I can see if I'm holding the camera steady. No, I'm pretty off like this. When I'm on Google Maps, I can see that it's showing me that this is Frue Plads. Then there is this icon down here saying in Danish satellite. I don't know if it says the same in the English version. If you click on that, you will get a satellite image of the area. The street in question that we are painting are this right here. And it's because for more than a decade I have been walking down this street here on my way to work, and then when I turn a corner right here, let me see if I can illustrate it by zooming in. Can you see how this whole street is in shadow? So my experience every morning for more than, I think, 12 years have been to walking in the morning on my way to work down this street here, and as soon as I turn the corner here, I get hit by the sun, open fresh air, a lot of things happening on this square. There you can buy coffee to go and donuts, and I mean it's just a place of lot of yeah, like this is a university building, so there's a lot of students and, you know, a lot of activity. So it's just so nice meeting the day around this corner right here, getting kissed on the forehead by the sun. So that's why I wanted to paint this particular corner or this street here, and I wanted to paint it where I'm viewing it down this road, because that's the dark road that I'm coming from, right? So what I do is that I place the cursor on this road here, and then down here there is a yellow guy, and if you double click on him, he will take you down to Street View. So you will be placed, let me see if it works, maybe it has to read a little bit. You will be placed on the street, right? And then there is a lot of fiddling work where you have to grab the picture with your mouse. And right here, if we walk just a little bit further, let me see if I can zoom in properly. Oh my god, did I have the camera totally? Yeah, I'm so sorry. I bet that I made a really, because I can't see what I'm filming while I'm showing this on the screen. But can you see this area right here? That's identical with my drawing. So oh my god, I'm doing such a bad job with this. I'm sorry. I need to see both screens, otherwise I cannot explain. How do I do it? Like this maybe. I'm gonna lay my sketchbook down here. Depending on how good you are at placing that yellow guy in Google Maps, which can be really confusing because there's errors and everywhere you touch on the screen will take you somewhere. But as you can see, I got like the curved street right here that's always seems to be in the shadow, and on my drawing it's this area here. I got some electric wires here, this building, and then this building. And now it's interesting because when you study Mads Day, the way that he constructed his urban sketching is to push buildings more together so they seem more like busy, like clustered. And then he doesn't mind altering things. So looking at this little roof on top of this entrance right here, which actually is this one right here, he's pretty good at slanting buildings. So it's like you're in the center of an orb, and then everything is displayed 360 degrees around you. That's as far as I have come to his way of sketching. So he's making the viewer stand in the center of an orb, and then he's deliberately turning all the buildings so they become more interesting to look at. Look how actually rather boring this area is in real life. If we go down this street here, if I zoom in, you can get more details about these buildings, and those are the ones that I try to capture, you know, the essence of that curved street. So that's basically how I sit and view the street in real life on Google Maps, and then I actually sketch out of imagination a lot of things. And yeah, let's see, it's so difficult to navigate on this Google Maps. It will drive you crazy, but it's worth it if you got the patience. You can okay, you can click up and see up, and you can of course click down. So you can also make some pretty amazing urban sketching by looking up. So you get a different, can you see the foreshortening the perspective in this? Isn't it cool? So what I also do is that I practice using perspective lines, because here it's actually a pretty good example of how you can visually see that if you can draw this right, it will look like you're standing down at the street looking up. So Google Maps will help you a ton if you're doing urban sketches. This is the square. Right now it's empty right here because it's rainy, but there is a lot of life going on here. And then if you go down here and down this road here and then just around that corner, that was my shop. So that's why I spend a lot of time on in particular this square right here. Let's go back to the square. Oh man. Okay, let's not do more of this Google Earth. But yeah, so I basically sit at home, choose and select a well-known location, look it up on Google Earth, and then while I sketch, I try to keep in mind Mads Dag's approach, where I'm trying to bend and curve things that I'm sketching, and I'm putting in those narrow buildings if I need to, or I simply just try and sketch what I see. Like this one is not manipulated at all. This is exactly what you see when you look down this. It's like a, I want to say a blind square. There's a road here, right? So when you're standing on the road and you turn left, this is exactly what you see. So some of the sketches are like exactly what you see, and then some are manipulated with. The best thing for me when I'm doing a study of an artist is to actually get an illustration, either the original one or what they call a print of it. This is Mads Dag. This is one of his original urban sketches, and as you can see, like I said before, he's using graphite pencil. I think he's using a hard B, maybe 1B, because it's so narrow and so bright in the graphite. The harder the pencil are, the lighter it will, but it will also be so hard that it can actually make indents. But can you see his striations up here? They are done. This one is from 1982, so it's exactly 40 years old. There's a lot of striations made. Like this looks really like he just scratched with his pencil. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet, because I think I will destroy my drawing if I just do scratches like that. And I would love to learn to make his sky, where he's using a lot of marks with his graphite before he comes in with his color. For the sake of this stream, since I now got a request about how I'm approaching these drawings in my journal, I think I will show the continuation of me trying to make a rendition of this one. I actually have started a while ago in my sketchbook, and I'm not finished sketching up. So I think that I should finish sketching up and not use Google Maps, because it would just confuse me having to stream the screen from my computer and then my sketch paper. So let me just work by looking at this one, and then this time be brave and put in his crazy striations, even though I'm kind of afraid that I will ruin my sketch. This is pencil. What I do is that I usually, when I'm done penciling in, I take my fountain pen and then go on top of it. But since I want to do a look-alike rendition, I will not use fountain pen this time. The pencil that I'm using, I got this sketch set, and because I want to leave this as a pencil sketch, I will avoid using any pencil that got the letter B in it. B stands for black. The higher the number, the softer the pencil. H stands for hard. The higher the number, the harder the lead. So you can actually, if you take, like, I got a 4H pencil right here. It is so hard for me because the way that I use a pencil is that I push too much. So my guideline with pencil set is that as soon as it says 2H, it's too hard for me. So 2H, 3H, and 4H are pencils that I rarely want to grab, because I pushed so hard on with my pencil that I'm actually making an indent in the paper that's visible even if I try to erase it afterwards. So I've taken the hardest pencil that I think I can manage at the moment, and it's just called H, and H stands for hardness. And what I do is that I of course can't freehand sketch. I'm not there yet. So I use a lot of perspective lines, and I use them to get the perspective more correct. And I kind of deviate from the original drawing because he put in a tree right here. So I'm basically just sketching the background first, putting in the details where I think they should be. And it is so easy for me to prolong these sketch lines and add in windows with the correct proportions for a slanted building like this. I simply just do it step by step, and then on top of the windows there is this frame around it. So as you can see, you can add a lot of details. But what I do in the first initial sketch, I usually do like this. I put in the building with the help of line work, and then when I've finished putting in the windows, I erase all my sketch lines, because now comes the fiddling part, which is all the details, the window frames, the window sill, you know, all those tiny details. And it's so nice to sit and relax and put them in with even, you know, the fountain pen. So I think that this is where I probably would end using a pencil in case I wanted to ink up my sketch with the ink. Worth to say about the fountain pen is that it's using waterproof ink. So when I go on top of the carbon ink line work, it will not dissolve and get disturbed by the addition of watercolor. I really like this urban sketching artwork. I'm fascinated by it. I am still learning. Back in the days, I used to watch a lot of Theo's channels and uploads. He's a fierce urban sketcher who actually travel and go out places. Like I tried to say before, I really have highly respect for the real urban sketchers who are leaving their house with a notebook and then sketch. I just haven't yet felt an urge to, or time to actually leave my house and go to all these places. Something always comes up, you know. So instead of not sketching at all, I just do the cheating methods by using Google Maps. But basically, it's just a ton of line work. The more detail, you better. So if you have the patience to put in all the details around the windows, I think it will be a likable sketch in the end. Now talk about detail. One of the things that I love about these styles of renditions of buildings is the way they end in the center. So I try to do a detail here in the center, and then I have much fun with making the line work kind of disappear. Mestdagh is very famous for his non-colored line work at the end, where he just suggests that this is going to be a tree. And that's why I fell in love with his way of urban sketching, because I love the way that he's not finishing off with a cut edge. He's kind of letting it fade out, but yet in many cases still with some sort of detail. So it's very likable. And I think that's the fun part of it. It's almost like painting by number, you know, when you have to put in all the details. So imagine listening to music, hearing an audiobook, just sitting here nice and quiet, putting in all the detail. And that's why I think for my part, it was hard for me to get the request about making a video about this, because this is so not a thing that I would like to do on a live stream, because for me it's capsulating some downtime where I'm just sitting listening to something else while just fiddling these small details. So I think I'm just gonna, you know, turn off the camera and then come back when this is fully sketched out. So yeah, let's see how long I can. The problem is also that I don't know what to say, because yeah, here we got a door that's inside an arbor. So this archwork here is very likable to do on urban sketches, because it brings a different touch to the drawing, you know, when you have like fun doors, arches, gateways, whatnot. The hardest part for me is the foliage. I think it looks stupid when I do my foliage. I have no idea why I feel like that. I just really think that I need so much more practice when it comes to placing in foliage. Here there is a shadow inside this dome, so I like to mark it up with the line work so I don't forget it when it's time to do it in watercolor. Yeah, roof. I like to make suggestions of the tile work of roofs. So that it just doesn't become like a straight line going down. It doesn't take much, just a little bit of scribbling at the edge of that otherwise straight line. Yeah. Maybe I should, like I said, turn off the camera because I don't know what to say while I'm sitting here. So let me work on this sketch. Okay, I'm back. It's actually been a week. So, you know, life interfered, stuff came up. So I had to divide this recording into two. But I'm actually glad because it makes me ponder about, have you ever been out urban sketching in real life? Well, it happens like this, that you meet up with a group and then you have like 30 to 40 minutes of actual sketching because you're spending time saying hello and greeting and walking and all that stuff. And then you meet up in a cafe afterwards where you finish off your sketching, and most of the coloring in the group that I was in was done at the cafe, where they have taken pictures with their phones with lighting and colors and stuff like that. So I'm actually glad that I have the opportunity to have a break in between my two recordings of this sketch, because this is the street. This is my reference photo, right? And I actually think that the first sketching session that is outdoor, I would manage in 30 to 40 minutes to at least get this line work down. So now the fine task is to imagine that now you're sitting at an outdoor cafe or an indoor cafe, whatnot, drinking coffee and can go into like really detailed pen work. You're sitting at a real desk, which makes things different because when you're outdoor sketching, you probably are having your sketchbook between your knees. So now you can really, you know, in a relaxed way, hold your pencil right and everything. So I'm actually glad that I had this break, because I have to do some trees now, the foliage. I'm not good at foliage, like I said. I would rather have like a roof and then foliage behind it. It's a question about getting better, you know, more skilled. So I kind of know what I like and what I don't like when I have to paint it and draw it myself. So in time you will learn your boundaries of where you are trying to put in something that will make you dislike your sketch. You guys know what I mean, right? Like if you're crossing into an area where you know you're gonna have problems, that is probably where you're gonna look at your drawings with discontent in the future. So I just rather try to sometimes skip those areas and trust that one day I will be bold enough to come back and try and learn it. But you have to like what you see on your drawings for them to spark joy. Yeah, why the hell did I start this discussion? Anyway, what I wanted to say is that now comes that difficult learning part where I have to look at the way Mess Stay is using his line work to suggest some things. And it's freaking scary because his sky, look at all that striation up there. So somehow I need to also figure out how to frame my sketch, and I would like to have like line work that goes unpainted as like the last edge of the margin right here. So it's a good time to think about how you're gonna do the edges now. I would follow his example and letting the color blur out, so I can see that I need at least some intricate line work over here. But this is the positive area of making urban sketching, is that you imagine you went out and you walked a lot, and now you're sitting in a cafe with this task that is you're not painting a portrait, so it's not like your still life is disappearing. You got what you have on the paper and you have to work from there. So now there's a lot of fiddling with your pencil, and in a way it's nice because it's just a bit like doodling, if you know how to place your marks. And I am so insecure. This is new for me to use pencil marks in sky areas like this. I kind of don't like it. But I started, so I have to finish it, right? I think that his marks are done in like one stroke, so maybe I should focus on just doing one strokes. I also dislike that some of them are kind of curved, so there is like a method to the madness up here. But lucky me, the sky is gray and gloomy, so I think it will cover up some of these line works. I found some postcards made from Mads Stee. Like I said, he's a very famous Danish illustrator, and usually when you buy cards, we don't, of course we have like Hallmark greeting cards and stuff in our country, but these are like the more pristine cards that you would give for, you know, that extra attention. So he often does nature and buildings and ships and harbors. So I just wanted to show them. I mean, so you can actually do your drawings on half of the watercolor painting and then just fold it in half, and then you would have a pretty nice card. So I actually think that I'll try working with this card later on when I've got time. Okay, but now I think I want to speed up this video because it's just a lot of striations, and then I'm gonna talk to you guys about the first time I went on an urban sketch, which was like, if you ask me, not a success. Well, let me grab the book because there's something to say about this. Okay, I got this lovely book written in Danish about a very oh, I can't even say the word, but you know, back in the 40s and the 50s, it was very popular to have a sort of theater where you went in to see shows that was like, not like Moulin Rouge shows, but they're called varieté. I don't know the words in English. But you can imagine that it's like small shows on stage where it's not like a total play, but it's more like dancing, and it developed a lot. Everything was held in a building called Scala. And as you can see here, it's like entertainment. So I read this book because it's a very long story of some culture in my country about how these shows represent what's going on in the current time, because it's there's like political entertainment and stuff like that. And then there's a lot of history about that building because it was very prominent to go there, and it was a fine theater with a big luxuries bar for, you know, the recess. It was like a big staircase up to your seating, and most of the people who were on stage you later on could see on black and white Danish movies. Yeah, I come from a very small country. I think back then we were not nearly 4 million people in my country, so they had to recycle the actresses, because when you're really a small country, you will see that some of the people appearing on movies and on stages and on theaters are actually the same people, you know. So that's why it's very interesting and funny to have books like this, and you can look back and see, you know, the kind of education they came from this, working on this. What is the English word for in revue? Oh, what is it? Okay, it's more like, I don't know. If something fun happened in a village, they would make a sketch about it and then go on stage singing a song, or, you know. So it was like early day entertainment with a lot of dance shows. So, but anyway, I read about the building. It's very interesting. There was a fire, it nearly burned down, and then it was rebuilt in the same architectural style. And rumor has it that, you know, when you walk in the building today, it's like a cinema today. You can still see the grand staircase, and you still are having your drinks at the bar at the first floor at the end of the staircase. You can see the pillars, and then the rumor is that if you go backstage of this, you will see even more of the first architectural construction back then. So when reading this, I was so lucky to see that the Copenhagen Urban Sketchers had an entrance backstage to Old Scala, and the reason why they call it the Old Scala is because there was a big mall built not far from this old place, also named Scala, right? So I thought, oh my god, I would love to go backstage on Old Scala and then do some urban sketching, because I was thinking, wow, I bet that we are let into those areas where you can see the old architecture. So I signed up, and we're going to meet at Vesterport station. And now I need to draw something to illustrate. Let's see. Pencil. Okay, Vesterport station is in front of Tivoli here in Copenhagen. So we got the train station here, and then you have to walk across a square, and then Tivoli is right here. And then back in the old days, now it's torn down, there was this mall here called Scala. But if you cross the street right here, there is this building where the original Scala were housed. So I'm getting a date and a time to meet at this train station right here, and we are meeting up, and then instead of going in this direction, people start walking in that direction. So I immediately knew when I you know, when we start walking, that, oh my god, that's the wrong thing that we're gonna urban sketch about. So that's the beginning of my urban sketching story. So now I'm gonna speed paint and then do some voiceover, just talking about my most not good memory from my first urban sketching. Okay, so my memory got blocked up on the computer, so I lost some footage. So this is going to be a choppy upload. Well, I'm gonna tell you about my first experience when I went outdoor urban sketching. It started back in 2017 when I was watching Theo's channel, and he's a fierce urban sketcher, and it took me almost 2 years to pull myself together to find a group here in Denmark, and I chose the Copenhagen Urban Sketcher. What I did was that I went on Facebook. And on Facebook, you can actually just type the word urban sketching and then the name of your area or your city. And then Facebook will suggest groups that often are open, so you don't have to join push the join button to see anything about their work and where they have been, right? So I browsed around several sketching groups in Copenhagen until I settled to this particular group, which I think was like middle-aged people. Majority was architects that had special entrance to often closed areas for the public. You know, they knew someone who knew someone, so they would be let in for half an hour. And I saw that they were going to meet up, and the theme was old Scala. So I'm immediately thinking, right, that it's the old variety show building. And I was so thrilled because I just finished reading that book that I was showing before. So I thought, oh, this is meant to be. I did several things wrong. First of all, I thought that we were going to be inside a building but backstage of the building. So my footwear was this kind of a pump with a small heel, you know, like nice footwear. And I actually immediately knew that something was wrong because we met up at the train station and they start walking in the wrong direction. And then I noticed that some of them were wearing like rain boots and boots, you know. And I'm thinking, what? And it was in October, so the weather was a little bit gloomy. Turns out that the direction that they were heading was towards Scala, which is a shopping mall that's getting at that time teared down, and they were allowed backstage, you could call it. Yeah, they were allowed at this construction area where they're taking down a whole mall, you know, demolition. So we were allowed to go behind those barricades and see the development of the construction. And it was like so muddy, and it was so dangerous to walk there. And the guy who opened the gate and let us in, he apparently had some connection to a group of people who were working with the demolition. So he was talking about where we could stand and what not to do and what to do, and everything was just rubbles, you know, like, and people were so fascinating, like, oh my God, this is so cool, you know, looking at demolition. To me, it was so disappointing, and I was standing there in my rather nice shoes, you know, because I thought we were going inside this fabulous building. So right there, I just felt so misplaced, you know. There were no decent place to sit down with a book in your lap, or, you know, like you were just standing on almost like a hillside of a big blown ditch in the ground. Yeah. And then I also learned on that trip that when you're new in a group of urban sketchers, they really would like to see your work. And when I left my home, I was feeling so intimidated because I'm really actually a shy introvert person, believe it or not. So I brought with me a brand new sketchbook. And that was a mistake because it immediately closed down most of conversation when we were back at the Hard Rock Cafe. There was a Hard Rock Cafe near Tivoli where we ended our trip and then just drank coffee, and people were, you know, refining their sketches and putting color on it. Anyway, they were like, they want to talk with you because you're new in the group, and what they want to talk about is they want a tour of your sketchbook. And I think it's only natural because they kind of want to place you in a box, you know, what kind of kind of artist are you, right? And I had nothing to show but that blank page where I did like really bad work because I wasn't prepared on having to sketch demolition and wires and steel and bricks and rubble. So I just was feeling out of element. So I was pretty shy sitting there in the cafe. And then it turns out that it's like a random open, there's like no ending time. So people were just slowly, walking away. And I didn't know, there's not, I'm such a person. I feel best if someone is opening the bazaar and closing bazaar. You know what I mean? Like the thing where you just browse in and then just disappear and have to say goodbye. And yeah, it was just. So I was sitting there in the cafe watching. Most of them had made monochromatic sketches and they were refining them. And most of them have only zoomed in on, it's so strange, like these big machines that they use to the kind of machines that can carry a racquetball, smashing things. They were focusing in on the big wheel or the car itself, like really strange close-up sketches of something where I immediately was thinking you didn't even have to be in that area to do that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay. So I was a little bit pondered about what people chose to sketch, but it's okay. That's how it is. But I brought with me my Windsor and I packed my bag. Did I pack my bag? Oh my God. Half of the experience was to pack that carry-on sketch light-footed bag before leaving house. And I had selected my Winsor and Newton travel set of paint, a couple of pens, a pen case, two blank sketchbooks, one in landscape shape, and one was like more like A5. So, and I had clips, so I could clip on my water travel paint set, and I also figured out a way how to dip in a bottle of water. Like I was so out of place. I thought that I would be able to sit on a curb or on a bench or something and have like an area to work from. Wasn't gonna happen. We were standing up and people were using clipboards. Like one had this clipboard where you could see that he had customized it. So he had like, where you rinse your solvent when you're oil painting. He was using that as his small container of water. And I'm telling you, he was painting. Imagine taking a bottle of soda and then unscrewing the cork or the lid of it. That's the a little amount of water that he was using. So it was like completely dirty. But he was the only one I saw who actually colored in his sketch while on the scene. The rest of them was most like pencil work and very detailed. And then very few of them was using actually ink pens. So it seems like it was mostly pencil. So, but yeah, I was setting myself out for a watercolor tour, like using watercolors because recently I have discovered the joy of using pen line works in my drawings. But 2-3 years ago, I didn't like the look of any of my paintings while using ink drawn line work. So I try to have a very light sketch with pencil, and then depending on the addition of watercolor to kind of do the painting, like so it was strange for me having to work in reverse, like having to rely on a lot of pen work. So that's a thing that I would be more focused on if I ever had to team up with a group of people meeting somewhere to doing some urban sketching in a group. The size of the group, I think we started out 12 people, but when we were back in the cafe, it was like there's only 8 left, and 2 of them were sitting in the opposite side of the cafe. So it was just, I don't know, it didn't feel like a group or something, you know what I mean? Like, so in a way, it's positive if you're a little bit introvert to know that you can actually sit for yourself and do your own thing, but you also feel a little bit lonely, you know? So, yeah, it was just a weird day, and I came home and I was so disappointed. First of all, I had the wrong footwear, and then, you know, I wasn't dressed for the occasion, and then, yeah, I was just, the whole thing was just not a nice experience. And, you know, it's one of those where I've set myself up to something, and then it didn't match up with real life. So I think that in the future, I would rely on pen work mostly, and then do the coloring when I come home and sit just quiet for myself and really enjoying it. And do like they did, take a lot of pictures with my phone so that I have all the shadows and the lights and yeah. Wow. I am so unlucky with this recording. It's like it's not meant to be, you know, so many issues. But this is my rendition of what's wrong with the light. Let me bring back some colors. Yeah, now it's brightening it up a bit. Now you may see it a little bit better. Yeah, this is my rendition of this original urban sketching from Meste. I don't know if you guys noticed how fast I'm putting down the paint, but I wanted to make it as true as possible because that's how fast I would actually work in a cafe, because I know that I am a little bit insecure and I wouldn't like that people are watching, you know, what you're doing. So it may look sloppy, and you can put in a lot of penwork detail, especially on this beautiful tower right here. But this is actually as true as to the outcome I would bring home with me from a trip in an attempt to do some urban sketching. So thanks for watching this long. This was like a tedious upload to make. So many things went wrong.